2005 was the first year I ever saw the SL55. I remember it like it was yesterday. I was visiting an open house with my parents, and inside the garage was a beautiful black example. That car was a supercharged 5.5 liter V8 producing right around 500 horsepower, $115,000 price tag. It was absolutely exquisite. But the thing that made that car stick out in my head was the fact that the owners of that house were getting a divorce. Turns out the husband was having an affair with his secretary in that very same SL55, and at that moment, I fell in love. A car that exuded power, performance, sex appeal, everything a young man could ever want. But over the next 20 years, I fell out of love with the SL. I always thought of it as too big, too heavy, not dynamic enough, and a car designed for older gentlemen who used to buy them for their sugar babies. But today this all changes, because right here we've got the brand new SL55, the car that promises to change and right all the wrongs of previous generations. Not only is it sexy and sleek, but it has 469 horsepower, all-wheel drive, a trick suspension. Basically, this car takes all the faults of the previous generations and rights them. I can't wait to drive it, so let's get right into it. Just a little bit. See what this thing sounds like. 4 liters, AMG performance exhaust. Give it a couple revs. And it sounds pretty good. Sounds a little muffled, but it sounds muscular. You can hear the turbos. All right, let's go for a ride. So here we are in the SL55. I've got the car in sport drive, comfort suspension, and advanced dynamics. I imagine this is gonna be the mode that most people are gonna drive in. Most importantly, I've got the top down to let this beautiful ambiance in of South Florida. It is so nice today to do this type of video. All right, let me put my foot down a little bit. Okay, there comes the torque. 519 pound-feet of torque deployed under my right foot. Honestly, overall, this car is extremely comfortable. For those of you that don't know, the car comes in 2 trims, a touring trim and a performance trim, and this very car is equipped with the performance trim, which gives us the adaptive ride control, a suspension that promises to be as smooth as a 720S and as dynamic as a GT3 RS. Now, to be honest, the suspension is a little bit rougher than a McLaren. Even my 765 LT rides smoother than this over the bumps. That being said, it is livable enough to enjoy over a road like this. Now, as we go over these bumps, yeah, man, the ride gets a little bit bouncy, but the car does have a dynamicness that SLs of the past did not have. The most glaring strength of the car is its turn-in, and that's due to the fact that this car has all-wheel steer, and it hides the mass and the proportions of this car so well. Now, obviously, because we're in South Florida, it's hard to show you the dynamic steering ability of a car. Nonetheless, you can really tell that that all-wheel steer is working. And as we have this Audi in front of us, so we can't deploy all 469 horsepower, but the car does kind of live up to that promise. That being said, I do feel like it's a bit sterile. Like, it's not that fun. I'm gonna put my foot all the way down in to see if it extracts a smile from my face. There's the torque. I mean, in its comfortable settings, honestly, guys, it's not that exciting. So let's pull over, take a look at the interior where this car really excels, and then I'm gonna turn everything up to race to see if it extracts the rock hard situation in my pants. See you in a minute. Oh. All right. Look, I think the highlights of this car are pretty straightforward. It is absolutely stunning to look at. Mercedes-Benz knocked it out of the park by combining its design ethos from the AMG GTR, the SLS, and the old SLs to give you this stunning work of art. I love how it looks. I can't find an angle, not from the front or the side or the rear, that doesn't exude sexiness. It is absolutely stunning, and I think it's the design language that's going to carry AMG forward for the next 5 or 10 years, and this design will remain timeless. Now, even though the exterior is so gorgeous, the part of this car that I'm actually more in love with than anything is this interior. Oh my God, look at that, man. The first thing that you noticed when you get into the seats is just how comfortably they hug you and they bolster you in. This isn't like my McLaren where you feel like you're seated in a bucket. This is a comfort seat, and it feels like it's just grabbing me from the sides in this loving and caring manner. But the first thing that you notice when you're in this car is this large touchscreen. It is crazy how big it is, and it's got a tilt control that allows you to control its angle so that the sun doesn't get in it and obstruct your view. Then you turn your attention to this, a 12-inch display right here. Fire up the car, and it's just so clear. I don't know if you guys have been in modern Mercedeses of late, but their interiors are just absolutely delicious. Now, something that my old C63 did not have is the toggle switch for the modes right here. You can throw it up into race, you can put the AMG dynamics on, or if you really want to toggle through an endless array of modes, you can tap this AMG button right here and filter through reduced power modes all the way to race and suspension, from comfort to sport plus, and the AMG dynamics from basic to master. So overall, probably one of the most beautiful interiors I've ever seen in a car of this caliber. So now I think it's time to go for a little more aggressive ride and really show you what the performance of this capabilities are on a road in Miami. So let's go. SL55 race mode through the Port of Miami tunnel. Let's go. Oh, oh! Foot down. Onto the brakes. Dude, it sounds so good in here. Yes, the pops. So throwing this car into race mode livens it up. You can feel right away as the adaptive ride control becomes more reactive, and as we come over the bridge towards downtown Miami, we can deploy all 519 pound-feet of torque. Oh my goodness. Okay, so a little more excitement, a little more pace added to the journey. But what is this car like to drive in traffic in a spirited manner? Well, this car is all-wheel drive, so the moment you put your foot down, it does give you full power and full torque, and you experience no slip of the rear tires. And right there, as I slip between traffic, I'm not driving crazy or anything, but the car is honestly so nimble. That rear wheel steer completely changed the dynamics of this Mercedes. Okay, onto the brakes. Onto the brakes. Dude, it just like, it rotates so well. Like obviously we're not on a racetrack and I'm not going that fast. The car honestly can handle this no problem, but you do feel the heft. You do feel that it's 4,400 pounds. Down to first gear, I'm gonna put my foot all the way down here in race mode. A little bit laggy there on the upshift. So yeah, it does feel every bit as fast as it's tested 3.5 seconds 0 to 60. This car will run a high 11-second quarter mile, which is crazy for a $144,000 heavy convertible sports car. Hey, look at that. A Carrera S, the car that this thing was designed to compete against. Let's give them a couple downshifts there. All right, so far, the adaptive ride control is honestly amazing. I love the way the car rotates. The transmission delivers excellent upshifts but slow downshifts, and the engine, this 4-liter bi-turbo, does have an adequate amount of torque. But I do wish the car was a little bit faster. You'll notice that at no point during this drive have I felt terrified for my life. I'm gonna actually deploy the power here a little bit. I mean, you'll notice I'm not smiling, and normally by this point, the car is making me giggle like a little kid. Don't get me wrong, this is a good car. Oh no, the brakes. Okay, that's a big warning mark. These brakes are not confidence inspiring at all. I just had to get on the anchors because this car was about to merge into my lane. No, honestly, they have no feel, and it feels like they're fading, and I've barely been driving the car. Obviously, 4,400 pounds will wear on the brakes of a car, but overall, the car is a 7 out of 10 on the exciting meter. It does do everything else well, the comfort thing well, the drop top thing well, but let me head home and really formulate my thoughts to let you know what I feel about this car. See you in a minute. Oh, what a day it's been with this car. A roller coaster of emotions. This car is so beautiful to look at. Mercedes did everything right there, and they sprinkled some of that magic sauce on the interior. Those two things are, bar none, some of the best features of this car, but the problem is this car is confused as to what it is. It doesn't know if it's a super sports car or a super cruiser. The ride's a little bit too rough in comfort mode to make it comfortable, and in super race mode, it's not the most agile thing in the world, and that's because this car weighs 4,300 to 4,400 pounds. Now that's not the biggest issue. The biggest issue is that this twin turbo V8, for the first time in any car I've ever felt, feels slow. It's like Mercedes turned down the boost to 0 to try to sell me a car at $144,000 and try to entice me to $178,000 to buy the SL63, and that kind of pisses me off. Every single car I drive, I find the positive, I find the light. I'm yelling and screaming at the camera, but this car just left me flat. Guys, I'm sorry if that disappointed you, especially you fans of this car. It is gorgeous to look at. You can check it out, but it doesn't have much substance to that beauty. Anyways, go down below, give me a thumbs up, give me a subscribe if you want to see more reviews like this. Oh, and tell me in the comments what you think about the car. Anyways, love you guys. Take care.